I think that actually might even be.
I didn't.
Yeah. So like we have it a little bit later, but you know, a fully funded Division I team, right? For the girls, is 12 scholarships.
Right, TK? 12 scholarships.
Yep.
12 scholarships, and that's
how many girls are on your roster?
For your whole team.
28 right now, but that's a small roster.
Right. So 28 on the small side, you know, would you say like 35 to 36 girls, probably bigger roster?
Well, I think if we're talking about every program, yeah, I think 32 is probably like an average Division I program now.
Gotcha. Yeah, so that's not a lot of scholarship money, particularly you know, amongst every single one of those girls. Is a really good point. You know, there's obviously a lot of nuances as it relates to academics and athletic money, depending on what division you know you kind of fall into. But there is some opportunity out there to get academic money as well, and there's actually a lot more opportunity too. So that's why it's really important. That's something that we stress at FLG, to focus on your, you know, on your academics and your grades, so that way you have more opportunities as you kind of move through the process. It's not going to be all about, you know, how good you are as an athlete or lacrosse player. It's also, you know, tied into how hard you've worked in the classroom and built around, you know, built that academic resume. So we have a slide. I'm going to kind of move past the visits and commitments, unless anyone wants to touch on those. You know, we have a couple of questions here. You know, like, when do athletes try to get onto campus? What advice would you give to an athlete who kind of, you know, is about to go on one of those visits? You know, how do you project academics, you know, with early commitments, which is actually a big topic. Does anyone want to maybe just jump in and chime in as it relates to some of those questions with visits and commitments?
Sure, I'll jump in. One of the things that I think is super important for a student athlete coming to a campus, you know, every player has a friend that is playing at the collegiate level of some sort. And I would say the best advice would be ask them questions about their experience and see what their life is like. And then you can derive questions and prepare them for your visit to wherever you're going. You know, to go on a visit and have no questions for a coach, you're really, one, you're not going to portray yourself as very interested. And then two, your purpose of going to visit a school is to learn more about whether or not this would fit what you're looking for or what you need for your college career. So I think, you know, coming prepared and doing some homework prior to going to the visit is really important. And then my only other thing would be, we watch a lot the interaction between whatever parents come or family members that come on that visit. We watch to see what that relationship is like. You know, and I think that plays a huge role in the type of person you are too. You know, one of our pillars in the program is attitude, and you know, you can definitely tell, you know, a player's attitude or level of respect for their family members in a short visit to campus. So those are my two things.
Awesome. So we got honesty and attitude. I can't wait to get all the pillars by the end of the presentation.
You'll never know.
Alice or Kevin, do you guys want to chime in on you know, any of the questions that are kind of up there? We also have, like, do you ever look at like social media of athletes that you're recruiting, and then also kind of like a general time frame in which most of your athletes can commit?
Well, I think you're going to find that every single coach and every single program is going to be a little bit different. I mean, you know, as TK had said, like leaving a few spaces for 17s. You know, right now she's pretty much done with 18s, but doesn't mean she's done. She still has a couple extra spots. You know, I mean, you know, kids, you know, that we've had come on campus to this point that are 2018s, that seems to be like the magic question. How many kids do you have committed to this point? And my answer to them is always the same: none. We haven't extended any offers yet. And it's not because we don't want to. It's just that we, believe it or not, I put my timeline on the student athlete, not myself. When the student athlete's ready to make a commitment, then we're ready. You know, again, as long as we are ready to commit to them. And again, it's all clearly, you know, discussed. But we don't we don't try to pressure it. We don't say, hey, listen, before you leave this office, you better make a decision whether you're coming to school here or not. You know, people ask me, when do you finish your recruiting? Well, our 2018 recruiting will finish in August of 2018. That's when our 2018, will be finished. As far as social media is concerned, we don't really necessarily go and look at it, but it really, if a high school coach or a club coach is telling us, listen, this is not necessarily the type of athlete you want on your program, that's gonna definitely put a lot of weight into whether or not we're going to continue to recruit that individual or not.
Yeah, and I think if you, we mentioned earlier just like prospect days or clinics on campus, and if you can couple those two together, that might make most sense for you in terms of like utilizing your time and your resources. So, a lot of times we'll get emails from players who are coming up. I mean, it's not easy to get to Middlebury, Vermont. So if they're willing to stay an extra night, again, off campus somewhere, because we can't host officially until their senior year, but if they're willing to stay off campus somewhere and meet with us the next day, we'd be more than happy to just like sit down and chat and answer whatever questions they might have. And no question should be off the table. So an athlete should feel really confident going in asking those tough questions like, where do I stand in your recruiting process? How many kids are you looking to bring in? And if you're not getting an honest answer from that coach, then that's a red flag for the athlete. So, it's a mutual relationship where both the athlete and the coaches are getting to know each other.
Mm-hmm. Great. And we actually had a question just pop in regards to at what age parents should really kind of go full force with investing in some of the events that are out there with the recruiting process. Coach Lee, is it ever too early for someone to maybe like come up to your school and attend a prospect day or maybe a camp that you run, or do you feel as though it's okay because at least they're getting a nice experience out of it? They had some great coaching and met some quality people. What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, so it's funny. This is actually something that, our coaching staff has discussed a lot lately. Just, because of early recruiting, so many freshmen and sophomores are committing to Division I's before they actually have a chance to experience what a D3 camp would be like, or the campus, the team, etc. So, because of that, I think we are a little bit more open to having those younger kids come on campus and at least like come to a clinic day. It's not like for recruiting purposes per se, but it's for them to really experience our team culture and what our coaching style is like before they're getting all that pressure, potential pressure, right, from the early recruiting process. So, our camps and clinics are open to the current junior class, which is the class that we are recruiting, but it's also open to the sophomore class so that, if they are considering Division III as an option, they're getting that exposure before they have to make a decision. So it's never too early, I guess, is my point. So if you're an 8th grader, maybe that's a little too early, but if you're a freshman and you're just trying to visit some schools out there, feel free to contact the coach, and if they can meet with you, they definitely will. Now,
Coach TK, like you're kind of actively recruiting freshmen and sophomores. How do you feel about an 8th grader saying, hey, like, I want to go see what Quinnipiac is like. I would love to check out one of their camps or prospect days. Do you feel as though maybe that's a little unnecessary, or do you think that kind of maybe makes sense because in less than a year, maybe they're starting to get recruited by you?
Sure. I am definitely not against it. More because when I was their age, just to go to a camp because I wanted to learn something at a camp, like what camps used to be. We were going to camps in 7th, 8th grade, but it wasn't for the purpose of recruiting. It was just to, learn from a college coach and to possibly go on to a campus you've never been to and, maybe take a little family vacation along the way. So I think there's value, and kind of what Coach Lee was saying, but like the education process in recruiting is just getting lost. And to me, I never want a player to commit to Quinnipiac, that doesn't know what they're committing to, or doesn't even know what else is out there. So, I mean, we've sent players that are ready, like jumping out of their seat on a visit, being like, I want to be a Bobcat, and I'm like, go home. You got to go visit at least 3 schools before you come back and say you want to be a Bobcat. Because they're just so young that they're jumping at that first offer, kind of like you were saying, Coach Lee, and it's that I see as one way to limit that by just education. Like, the only way to educate is to get them on campus and to see different schools and to learn different programs.